After PG&E pleaded guilty to burning down Paradise, the leader of the company's state government regulator declined our request for an interview. So did the governor who appointed her. But the person who ran that agency day to day
2.5 years.
Did talk. She didn't have a lot to lose at this point. Executive Director Alice Stebbins let us film her cleaning out her desk.
Friday will be my last day.
Why is that?
Because I whistle blew on the PUC where I work.
Alice ran the California Public Utilities Commission, the agency in charge of PG&E's monopoly license.
If I'm negligent, driving my car drunk, and I kill someone, eventually, if I do that enough, at some point I'm going to lose my privilege to drive. I'm going to lose my license. How is PG&E any different?
They shouldn't be any different. But they're a very big and powerful business in California. And they seem to be able to get away with a lot.
Do you think we're going to get through the next decade without another PG&E disaster that kills people?
No.
Why was PG&E invited in to the governor's office?
They murdered my father. I would trade whatever they're going to pay me with all their upper management spending the next 10 years in prison.
We can't prevent every fire.
This is the hook that killed 84 people.
But we can stop these.
But actions speak louder than words.
This is Fire, Power, Money. When PG&E pleaded guilty to 84 felony manslaughter charges, the company faced very little punishment. No one went to prison, the company paid a few $1 million fine, but on paper at least, PG&E still had reason to worry.
Why shouldn't the state be looking at revoking your monopoly license?
Well, that's up to other people to address.
Those other people are PG&E's regulators, the California Public Utilities Commission. 5 voting commissioners on the PUC have total authority over PG&E. They set the billions of dollars in rates PG&E collects. They have power over the company's spending. The commission can even impose the corporate death penalty on PG&E by taking its monopoly license away.
It is the most powerful state agency.
The PUC's leader is President Maribel Batcher, a former gambling lobbyist appointed by Governor Gavin Newsom. Batcher wouldn't talk to us about regulating PG&E after the company's campfire crimes.
Why can't we work together?
You still don't have a good answer.
No.
Prosecutors told us the CPUC refused to cooperate in their criminal investigation. When we asked why, the PUC gave us a misleading answer. An agency spokesperson pointed to a law restricting the sharing of information with the general public, which isn't the same thing as sharing it with law enforcement. The agency also said that it had to protect the integrity of its own separate investigation.
Item number 34 is Commissioner Rechtschaven's item.
Our investigation found that PG&E's misconduct caused 15 of the wildfires, resulting in unprecedented damage. Over 100 people killed, 25,000 structures destroyed.
The commission decided PG&E deserved a fine 50 times bigger than the one it paid in criminal court, $200 million.
The fine is clearly appropriate here.
But what PG&E deserved isn't what PG&E got.
It's just amazing to me. And I was there the day that they made that decision.
PG&E argued the fine was too big. PG&E declared bankruptcy to force its wildfire victims to negotiate a settlement. The company even tried to make those victims pay the PUC's fine.
I rejected PG&E's proposal to pay the fine out of the victim's trust.
Instead of telling PG&E tough luck, the commission decided this.
I recommended that the payment of the fine be permanently suspended.
The California Public Utilities Commission wrote PG&E a $200 million ticket and voted to rip the ticket up.
Aye.
President Badger? Aye. The vote for item number 34 is unanimous.
That's the decision. I want to express my deep appreciation for the outstanding work of our Safety and Enforcement Division here.
It was my honor to participate.
I'm sorry. It was not okay to do that. I mean, PG&E, how many passes can we give them? San Bruno? Paradise? I mean, it's not okay.
There wasn't a principled basis for saying, oh, let's just make them not pay the $200 billion.
Law professor Catherine Sandoval used to be a PUC commissioner.
I would not have voted that way.
She explained Governor Gavin Newsom's pen provided the rationale. He signed AB 1054, a law that bailed PG&E out with a multi-billion-dollar wildfire fund. Not to fix PG&E's power grid, but to fund damages PG&E would have to pay if it sparks more fires, a way of convincing Wall Street that this bankruptcy plan would work. The law came with a deadline. To tap into the new fund, PG&E had to exit bankruptcy by the end of June 2020.
So that's the pressure tactic that bankruptcy created. But it's not really an excuse for why they shouldn't have to pay that much of a fine, right? Because, again, there were massive, multiple violations, and these violations killed people. Part of the purpose of these penalties is to deter this conduct. Have you really deterred this conduct?
As executive director, Alice Stebbins didn't get a vote on PG&E's punishment. She carried out what the 5 commissioners decided.
What would you say to the people of Paradise?
That I'm sorry and I'm sad. I don't think we held PG&E accountable. And I know we made the wrong decision.
She's the first person in all of this I've heard say she was sorry when she did something wrong.
Depending on whose reporting you read that day, you might have seen headlines about the commissioners waiving that big fine, or you might have seen something that looked exactly the opposite. A record-setting penalty, almost $2 billion. Headlines echoing the PUC's own press release. But when we handed that press release to Alice Stebbins, it only took her a few seconds to change her mind about whether it told the truth.
The bulk of this, almost $1.8 billion, is disallowances of wildfire expenditures. Now, they can't argue it was a prudently caused wildfire, can they?
No.
So it was never really allowable to begin with, right?
Correct.
So is this just a bunch of window dressing?
Yeah. I mean, the media for the PUC is really good. They know how to write.
So almost the entirety of what's the biggest penalty ever was something they weren't really allowed to charge customers for anyway.
Yes.
That $1.8 billion dressed up as a penalty required PG&E to pay its own expenses for the wildfires it caused. It's a lot like punishing a drunk driver who killed people by making them pay to fix their own car. PG&E also paid a much smaller amount aimed at fire prevention.
They're now having to go spend a bunch of money fixing the power grid that a federal judge said they should have been spending over the decades anyway.
That's correct.
And this isn't going to cover the whole thing, is it? $2 billion?
No.